The clerk will please call the roll and make general announcements.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll be happy to call roll for the May 6, 2019 regular meeting. I would like to remind those in attendance to please silence all cell phones at this time. Those attending the meeting who would like to make a public comment, you're required to complete a public comment card prior to speaking on the item. Your comment card must be presented to the city clerk prior to the agenda item being called. All speakers, please identify yourself by name, address, and organization before beginning your comment. If you are representing an organization, an affidavit is required stating you have the authority to speak on behalf of that organization. Demonstration of any sort within the chamber is prohibited. Please refrain from any applause, cheering, booing, outbursts, or dialogue with any person speaking. Anyone in violation will be asked to leave. As I call roll this evening, please confirm your attendance. Mayor Joe Lockwood.
Here.
Councilmember Peyton Jamison.
Here.
Councilmember Matt Kuntz.
Here.
Councilmember Laura Bentley.
Here.
Councilmember Carol Cookerly. Here. Councilmember Joe Longoria.
Here.
Councilmember Rick Morick.
Here.
Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to welcome. We've got some special guests here tonight that we'll be recognizing in a little bit. And also welcome to everybody else here tonight. And thank you, Reverend Dockery, for being here. Sudi, if you'll please sound the next item, the approval of the agenda.
Our next item this evening is approval of the meeting agenda. This is agenda item number 19097.
Okay. I'd like to add an executive session to discuss land acquisition. And I would also like to add a special proclamation under our reports and presentations. Anything else? All right, I'll open up for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second? Have a motion for approval as amended by Councilmember Cookerly, second from Councilmember Longoria. Any comment? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So did you have any public comment tonight?
We do not, sir.
Okay. So we'll move on to the consent agenda. If you'll please read those items.
First item is approval of easement agreements for drainage areas with West Birmingham Road Culvert Replacement Project. Agenda item number 19098. Approval of a professional services agreement between the City of Milton and Canopy Consultants, LLC, for arborist services. Agenda item number 19099. Next is approval of a change order to a professional services agreement between the City of Milton and Lowe Engineers, LLC, and a task order for land development plan review. Agenda item number 19100. Approval of a construction services agreement between the City of Milton and Hendy Enterprises, Inc. for a Bell Memorial Park shade structure. Agenda item number 19101. Next, approval of a professional services agreement between the City of Milton and IMS Infrastructure Management Services, LLC, for a pavement management software and condition survey. Agenda item number 19102. Our sixth item is approval of a professional services agreement between the City of Milton and Wolverton and Associates, Inc. for design of Freemanville Road at Birmingham Road intersection improvements. Agenda item number 19103. Next is approval of a change order number 2 to an agreement between the City of Milton and Triscapes, Inc. to provide facility landscaping services, sport field maintenance, and maintenance of Bell Memorial and Providence Parks. Agenda item number 19104. Number 8 is approval of an agreement between the City of Milton and Dynamo Pool Management, Inc. to provide pool management and maintenance, lifeguard support, learn to swim programming, and resurfacing of the walk-in pool. Agenda item number 19105. Our ninth and final consent agenda item this evening is approval of the following subdivision plats: Sweet Apple, Land lots 1016 and 1073 on Sibley Lane. Final plat revision. No change in number of lots. 21 lots total. 38.25 total acres. 0.55 lots per acre. Next is LFG Properties. Land lot 413 on 15615 Birmingham Highway. This is a combo plat. Combined parcels, 1 lot. 14.78 total acres, 0.67 lots per acre. And last is KGC Properties, land lots 381 and 412 on 1105 Birmingham Road. This is a minor plat, combined 2 parcels and split portion 1 lot, 24.61 total acres, 0.040 lots per acre. Agenda item number 19106.
Okay, I'll open up for a motion on the consent agenda.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as read.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion for approval from Councilmember Bentley with a second from Councilmember Cookerly. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, if we can move on to reports and presentations. Sudi, if you'll please call the first item.
Our first item is a proclamation recognizing William Zong, 2019 winner of the American Protégé International Piano and Strings Competition. This is being presented by Councilmember Matt Kuntz.
Okay, so this is fun. I'm honored to give this proclamation today for William Zong, and when I saw that one of our young residents had the talent that he's going to display here tonight, I couldn't help but think about how relevant art is in our society. We as a council know that we established the Milton Arts Council, who now helps bring the humanities to our own culture, but this is more than that. It's about the creativity inside each and every one of us. And so having such a young resident come before us, I remember as kids, who among us didn't draw or create or imagine? Who among us didn't dream? Well, we all know that truth can be found in facts and figures and math and science, but it's especially found inside our humanities. It's prevalent in our philosophy, our religion, our myths, and our stories. Can we not watch a play and change our thoughts? Can we not go to a movie and change our feelings? Can we not read a book and change our perspective? Can we not listen to music and change our mood? Can we not pray and change our hopes? The naysayers will tell us all those things don't matter. We should place all hope in science and math and reason. And yes, we know those things are important, but we place all our hope in algorithms. And that's great, except we know that algorithms don't always work. And that day when they don't, what do we do then? We change the algorithm. What's more important is it's truths of our creativity that fills the gap. Our creativity presses us onto new frontiers. It inspires us to overcome our fears and face challenges headlong. It lets us dream, even when the math doesn't seem to make sense. Our creativity is the very spirit of humanity, for we were all created in God's image, and He is the ultimate creator who put these truths within us. We only need faith in our spirit to bring them out. Tonight, we get to hear a small sampling of creative talent from a young man who dares to dream. He and his parents, Todd and Julie, have trusted the Spirit and have become a light to our nature. As we listen, we'll all listen for the truths presented in his music, and let us all remember to dare to dream. So I'm going to read this proclamation real quick, and then we're going to have some music from William Zong. It's going to be great. So whereas William Zong is 6 years old and lives in Milton, Georgia, a current student of concert pianist and Professor Rafi Bisalian, William began his piano studies at the age of 4. And whereas William showed keen interest for music as early as 2 years old, he is a cheerful, passionate, and inquisitive boy. He has participated in a variety of recitals in different venues, including local churches, schools, golf clubs, and senior homes. And whereas the American Protégé International Piano and Strings Competition is open to school students and adults of all nationalities and countries, and whereas a record number of musicians from 17 countries applied for this year's competition, they hail from the different parts of the U.S., Canada, Costa Rica, Italy, Germany, Israel, China, Hong Kong, India, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Australia, and New Zealand. And whereas American Protege is William's first piano competition, he worked hard through the process of rehearsal and enjoyed playing his favorite music. And whereas William also loves reading, drawing, and swimming, now therefore we, the mayor and city council of the city of Milton, hereby recognize William Zong as the 2019 winner of the American Protege International Piano and Strings Competition. We are proud that he is a Milton resident and encourage all citizens to congratulate him on this very prestigious award, given under my hand and seal, the city of Milton, Georgia, on this 6th day of May, 2019, Mayor Joe Lockwood. And we're going to hear the following songs, and then, William, the show is yours. So he's going to play the Mozart Piano Sonata number 16 in C major, K545, first movement, and then Schubert Impromptu, Op 142, number 3, and then Bach 2 and 3, Part Inventions number 8, and then number 4, Chopin Waltzes Op 64, number 1. So, William, go right ahead.
Just want to say, wow.
Your family will come on up here. Council will join me.
That kid is going to be. He hit a crazy ball after you. Yeah. Look what I could do. I could play this in.
Let's all take half a step this way. So move this way. Great job. Yes, perfect. Half a step, one more for me. Perfect. That's good. You'll look right here at me. All right, we're looking right here. William, 1, 2, 3, smile. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, smile. Stay right where you are. Perfect, thank you.
I just want to say a couple words, not only from myself, I know I'm speaking from our council and everybody else in this room. We are so proud of you. That was such a great job, and I know your family is so proud of you. We're glad to have you here in Milton, and we wish you well, and we're behind you to support you moving forward. Okay, buddy?
You're welcome.
Whatever few they are, seem very meaningless now.
Okay, Sudie, if you would please announce the next presentation item.
Our next item is a proclamation recognizing Muscular Dystrophy Association, City of Milton Firefighter Appreciation. This is being presented by Mayor Joe Lockwood.
This is another proclamation that I'm honored to and pleased to present every year. This is, I have a proclamation, the MDA City of Milton Firefighter Appreciation Proclamation. The Muscular Dystrophy Association's proprietary Fill the Boot program is supported by fire departments across North America. The simple street-side collection campaign provides an easy and convenient mechanism for commuting Americans to make a contribution to one of America's most beloved charities by America's most admired heroes, the firefighters. This year marks 65 years for the American tradition. Nationwide, firefighters have collected over $300 million for MDA. Angela Simmons, Executive Director of MDA Atlanta, is excited to support the City of Milton's Fire Department year after year and is here with us in the audience along with MDA ambassador families. Also, please welcome Chief Bob Edgar and members of the City of Milton Fire Department. And after I read the proclamation, I'll ask you to step forward. MDA City of Milton Firefighters Appreciation. Whereas dedicated and selfless firefighters in Milton provide vital and life-saving services to the citizens of their community. And whereas, at a moment's notice, these men and women risk their lives subduing fires and rescuing those trapped in infernos, as well as saving citizens from emergencies that could have been deadly situations. And whereas, Georgia firefighters contribute significantly to the continued well-being of the Georgians through their outstanding commitment to community service. Their sense of duty and responsibility is evidenced by their hundreds of volunteer hours and annual boot drives to collect funds to fight muscular dystrophy. And whereas firefighters in the City of Milton unselfishly donate their time and energy to supporting the Muscular Dystrophy Association, raising more than $818,000 of the last 12-year partnership. And whereas many of Milton's most deserving citizens have benefited from the funds raised by firefighters in the Fill the Boot campaign, and these public servants make invaluable contributions to our community in all the tasks that they perform. Now, therefore, we, the Mayor and City Council of the City of Milton, hereby proclaim April through September as MDA Firefighter Appreciation Time in the City of Milton and encourage all citizens of Milton, Georgia to recognize and support the efforts of these firefighters on behalf of MDA. And this is given under my hand and seal of the City of Milton on the 6th day of May, 2019. And if those that are in attendance tonight would please step forward, and I'll present these proclamations and we'll get some pictures. Get over here. You got to figure it out.
I just wanted to make sure you.
How are you tonight? Good to see you.
I'm gonna have him sort of out front a little bit. If everyone will fill in behind this handsome young man. Perfect. There you go.
Don't make us lopsided. Get over on the other side.
You towards the center. Yeah, flop forward to the side.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You all are so good. Look. Okay, on this side, if you will take a step back to the wall. Okay. And then right here, just shift this way a little bit. Perfect. And if you'll come closer to her, yes. If you'll shift towards the middle there. Chief, if you'll come just a little bit this way. Perfect. Mayor, if you'll come out this way a little bit, turn sideways. And if you'll do the same, Councilman. Same thing here. Okay. Now, may I move you? Is that okay? If you'll take a step out, and Councilman Mowbray, if you'll step in behind, and we're going to stagger right here. There's method to my madness. We're almost there.
I told you not to move.
There's a method to my madness. Okay, just shift just a little bit for me this way. You're going to get in between shoulder. Perfect, perfect. I can see all the faces. Okay, perfect. All right. Looking right here. All right, everybody. 1, 2, 3, smile. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3. Hang tight. One more. All right. Count down with me. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Excellent. Okay, thank you.
And I want to add a couple more words too. Not only Chief, thank you so much for you and your team, what you do. Obviously, just can't thank you enough. Thank you guys for being here tonight. Thank you for MDA. But really also thank you to our generous citizens. I read the number $818,000. The city of Milton continues to be right up at the top as far as their generosity and all that. So great cause, and just want to thank everybody for that. So thank you so much.
And Mayor, if I could, while you're walking up, we would have more fire department members here right now, except we just finished fighting a fully involved structure fire. In fact, the chief was there too. I don't know if it's obvious.
I saw the smoke.
It was a good one.
Okay, and also, as I added to our agenda, I have another proclamation. Tonight we've got a special proclamation to give to our city clerk, Sudie Gordon. Sudie's been our city clerk for 10 years, and we greatly appreciate everything she's done to help our city. This proclamation is in recognition of the 50th anniversary of the Municipal Clerks Week, and we're honored to give it to Sudie. So let me read this proclamation, and then we'll have you join us, Sudie. Proclamation, the 50th anniversary of Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local governments, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and the agencies of government at other levels. And whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas municipal clerks continue to strive to improve the administration of affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in educational programs, seminars, workshops, and the and the annual meetings of the state, provincial, county, and the international professional organizations. Now, therefore, we, the mayor and city council of the city of Milton, recognize the week of May 5th through May 11th, 2019, as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Sudie Gordon, for the vital services she performs and her exemplary dedication to the city of Milton. And that's given under our hand and seal of the city of Milton on the 6th day of May 2019. So, Sudie, if you would allow us to thank you and step forward, and we'll present this to you. HR.
Permissive hugs are okay. Perfect. Gosh, you're just perfect. So good at this. Okay, we're going right here. 1, 2, 3, smile. Let's do it again. 1, 2, 3, smile. Oh, good. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Sudie. Appreciate everything you do. I think I've been doing this job for 10 years. How about that? Okay, our next item is first presentation. Sudie, if you'll please sound those items.
Our next item is consideration of U1901, VC 1901, 1470 Red Road by Avera Primo for a use permit for a private school, Section 64, 1831. Kindergarten through 8th grade, 480 students. A request for 2 concurrent variances. First, delete the 75-foot undisturbed buffer and 10-foot improvement setback along the east property line, Section 64, 1143, A38. And 2, delete the 100-foot setback along the east property line where the existing structures are located, Section 64, 1831B3. The applicant has submitted to withdraw this request. Agenda item number 19107.
And just legally, Ken, can clarify, I know this is on our first presentation being heard tonight and then would be scheduled for 2 weeks from now. Obviously, the applicant has submitted to withdraw this, but on a technical, I guess we still need to hear it, correct?
Well, it's on first presentation, and given that there's been an application to withdraw, my recommendation is that the council should make a motion second to authorize withdrawal, and therefore it need not come back up on an agenda.
Okay. So is there any discussion on that, or do I have a motion that to withdraw this?
I'll make a motion that we authorize the withdrawal of this application.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to authorize a withdrawal of this application from Councilmember Kuntz with a second from Councilmember Morag. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, we can move on to our public hearing.
This item is consideration of the issuance of an alcohol beverage license to the farm at Pamelot, 2105 Bethany Way, Milton, Georgia, 3004. Agenda item number 19108. Ms. Bernadette Harville.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening you have before you what I believe is a city alcohol beverage license application for a farm winery A farm winery per Milton's code may sell its wine and the wine of any other Georgia farm winery for wholesale distribution, retail sales, and consumption on premises. The applicant has worked with staff to understand that any other activities may require certain zoning permissions, and application for those activities would have to be approved separately from this license. And lastly, this license would be approved as conditional pending the approval by the state of Georgia. Georgia requires a permanent local license to be issued before they will issue their license. We have checked with legal, and a conditional approval is allowed under this circumstance. I'm going to pull up the map so you can see which parcels we're speaking about. Sorry for the yellow on yellow.
Really taking this one in. Are we waiting for them to switch back there?
No, the map's up. If you have any further questions, the applicant's here and can address them, or I can address them.
Okay. I'll open up for questions, or is there any questions, staff or the applicant? Laura?
Is a winery, is that an AG1 by right use? I'm just not, is the winery a by right use like?
It's a little outside of the zone.
So the agricultural district allows for the production, the growth and propagation of fruit and vegetables. So wine, grapes would be one of those items, and that would be permitted to be grown. And then as far as a winery, and you could even sell the products from your property that you grew. So then after that, if you want to have activities related to it, then it would be my opinion that they would need to pursue additional use permits if they went beyond just propagating the grapes and producing the wine on the property. And again, if they can go ahead and sell it wholesale or retail, well, not retail, but wholesale. But if they want to do anything more, then yes, they would need to have additional use permit. So,
Thank you.
in my opinion, yeah.
Robin, doesn't that include the sale of wines from outside that aren't propagated on the property but in the state of Georgia?
The sale of wine there, then they would need to go ahead and get, to be able to get the alcohol license to sell or to serve.
Yep. So the farm winery ABL allows for the sale, wholesale distribution, retail package, and consumption through like a small tasting room of their own wine produced on the property or any other Georgia farm winery.
And it's a little in conflicting with what we typically allow an AG1 to be sold, because we would really, it only addresses items that are grown and sold there. So I would recommend that they pursue a use permit that would allow such sales and other activities that might be associated with it.
Carol, you have a question?
So isn't the way that it works, can have a certain number of vines, but it's really just a percentage, and you mix it with a concentrate from like your Chardonnay or whatever shipped in? So, I mean, how many vines are we talking about? How much acreage has to be dedicated to have a so-called winery?
So the state has some specific requirements, including that 40% of annual production is from agricultural produce grown in the state where the wine is located. It also says that the premises must have a substantial portion of which is used for agricultural purposes, including cultivation of grapes, berries, and fruits. So they're trying to designate that you have a large enough piece of land that you are producing a large profit from this production. So Ms. Jackson has another plot of land in which she does her other business on, and this would be for the farm winery side.
And how many acres would be in cultivation of winery? Oh, I didn't realize
I'm
we
going to
had
brought
the,
Ms. Jackson along.
yeah,
to
the
help me
applicant
out.
here. Welcome.
How are you? Well, I have
Ms.
about,
Jackson, excuse me, just for the record, do you mind just stating your name and address, just for the record?
I'm Pamela Jackson, 2105 Bethany Way, Milton, 30004.
Okay, thank you. Carol, go ahead, I guess the question.
So the question was, how much of your land will be designated to the growing of the vines, the grapes, whatever?
Well, we've got just a little less of an acre that's been already planted, about 300 vines. We have about 300 vines between Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc, and Cabernet Sauvignon. So those are already planted, and so where the grapes are, about an acre of land has been dedicated to that, maybe a little bit more. We've only planted a little less than that, but I've got 20 acres. I mean, I've got plenty of space. And then we're breaking into olive trees after this because Georgia has a great olive tree thing, but that's all another story.
And so then with this opportunity, are you looking to get a special use permit for some of the other activities, or is that needed, like the music at night? And
Okay.
just so that we're
I think there was
fair
some
across the
confusion on
spectrum.
that.
Yeah.
I already owned the farm.
Right.
And so the winery is part of the farm, but it's a whole different section. I mean, with the vines and the wine tasting and all that, and where the winery is where we make the wine, all that's separate. I have a farm where we would like to be able to do some other activities, but they're not crossed activities. And I think what happened was they got kind of blended together. I need to do the special use permit for any of the other kind of activities that you were mentioning, and that would be on the farm side. This is the winery side. Does that make sense?
Not really, but that could be me. Okay. So as I look at the map, and I'm very familiar with your property because I drive that way. So when you say the other side, which one? I'm looking at both
Use
plats.
this mouse if you'd like.
Okay.
And show those what are yours.
Okay, I'll just look at this because this is going to confuse me. Where you see the yellow there, well, actually, this has been done incorrectly. Can I correct it? I didn't see that. Okay, this right here, well, it's this part right here coming down like this that is where the vineyard is right here. That's my house. That's okay, it's not a problem. That's my house right there. Then you come down and the vines are planted all back here. Well, the vines actually go, I don't quite understand what this is. Well, I guess that's the way the tracks were purchased, probably. That's the track. Okay. So the vines come this way a little bit, and like down here, and all this area
So
is.
this other part is your property.
Now that other part, all of this, I own all of this going all the way down to here. All of that is mine. I have 2 entrances on Hopewell Road. I have 3 entrances on Bethany Way.
2095, right?
And 2095. Yeah, that's 2095. Okay, and all that's mine too. All that, and the yellow I own. It's just not where the vines are planted. The vines are actually planted over in this area. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
And I have a question too, just based on Robin, what you said, and Bernadette. So this is actually through the state, allows a farm winery, so to speak?
I had to get a federal permit too. I've already gotten the federal permit. So you have to have a federal, a state, and a city permit. I've gotten the federal permit is already completed, and now the problem that we were having is the state requires that you have a city license before they will issue their permanent license, and the city was requiring that you had a permanent license with the state before you'd issue your license. So that's where the conflict came in. So the state's just waiting for this. I mean, everything's go with the state. I'm ready to go with that, but they're waiting for the local license. But the federal's already finished in hand.
Okay, but and just to clarify, though, I think, Robin, you made the comment, this would not, if it wasn't a winery, and this were just a regular agricultural use, for just the city, the rules will be a little different. Is that correct? You were saying you have to, I guess you have to produce
Right.
everything
So
that you
typically,
sell retail?
For agricultural uses, let's say we don't have a lot of corn being grown,
Yeah.
but we'll make that as an example. That if a farmer grew the corn, he could grow it, harvest it, wholesale it, sell it, even have a a stand in his entrance and sell the corn to Mr. and Mrs. Smith coming off the road. And that's totally a part of what the AG1 zoning allows for. And so I'm just comparing it to what if you're raising grapes to produce a crop and to produce the wine, that's all allowed in agricultural. As far as having activities and going on and serving the wine and wine tasting, it would be my opinion that she should go ahead and get an additional use permit for the additional traffic that comes onto the property to come and purchase it, as well as the wine tasting. And then after I looked at the website, I do see that she has other activities going on, and I think that's what she's referring to, that we could work with her on the other portion of her development. So she may end up with two different special use permits.
It is two different things. And I think that when we started this, it all kind of got mushed together, but it's not. It's two separate things that are going on.
Right. So.
Well, I guess my question is, typically if it's AG1, use the example of corn. Per our ordinances, you would have to produce 100% of the corn that you sell there. Correct.
Right.
But we're talking about the rules for a winery, a farm winery. And I'm not arguing it. I just want to make sure I'm clear on it. You're allowed to grow X number of percent on your property and mix it
40%.
with another percent of like properties or whatnot. Is that other farm or other agriculturally grown grapes in Georgia? Is that correct? I think Bernadette, you were
Right. I think that's correct. That you could import some additional.
Great. So I guess what I'm asking, and again, I just want clarification. Will that still fit in our ordinance? Since if our ordinance says, for HE1, if you're going to produce something and sell it, but it has to be all on the property, but does the state
It allows for.
does that supersede ours? That's just my question.
This is
I
our
want to
first
clarify.
time having a winery,
Okay.
so
I'm not
sure.
arguing against it. I just want to make sure.
I mean, I think what we were looking at is if they did the special agricultural event permit, and then that would cover for being able to serve
Which I'm going to
wine.
apply for. I mean, that is, but this is just, and that's for the other events. This is just for the winery side of it, totally.
And we brought this forth this evening because the state wouldn't even enter the property to do the walkthrough or see if it was compatible with their regulations until the city issued a license. So in order to try to help Ms. Jackson get the state even out there to walk the property, identify a tasting room, and consider it, that's the alcohol beverage portion of it.
So again, even if the city approved it, that's no guarantee the state would, but the state will come out as
Right.
the next step.
We'd be asking for a conditional based on the state's decision, and then if the state says no, ours would go to a no, and if they said yes, then we would continue. And every year for renewal, that state license would have to be shown again to prove that it's been, under the same circumstances, approved each year by the state.
Mayor, I have an answer to your specific question if you'd like it.
Okay.
A farm under Section 4-379 permitted sales, a farm winery may sell its wine and the wine of any other Georgia farm winery, licensee, or retail in a tasting room or other facility on the premises of the winery for consumption on the premises and enclosed packages for consumption off the premises. So it specifically addresses for the wines that are coming from other Georgia farms.
That's from the state, correct?
No, that's our city ordinance.
Okay. Just want to clarify that. Matt, I think you had a question there, right?
Yeah, so philosophically, I'm all for business ventures in AG1 because we need to do that, so I don't have a problem with that. I think I love the idea, and I think it's going to be a good thing. But the question is that everybody's going to have a concern of is as you progress, what's the traffic going to be like? What's the business going to look like? What's the number of people you're going to have in your building at any one time, things like that. And not that that's necessarily with this particular proposal, but everyone's going to ask us that.
Okay.
And so what's the intent?
I got an answer for you. As far as the winery goes, as far as what we're talking about here, first off, I'm a private estate and I'm staying a private estate. My doors are not going to be open 9 to 5 when anybody can walk in. We will arrange wine tastings with, I've got a master winemaker that will come in. We'll do 10 people can sign up for it on a Thursday evening, and you have to sign up, and that's it. So I'm not going to be open 9 to 5. This is my home. It's where I live. I understand your concern, and I don't want to shoot myself in the foot here, but it's when we get to the special use one, that I think y'all need to come out and look at it. Because if I do have, other larger events, that's where the issue is going to be, not with the wine tasting. But that's not a part of this. That's what I'm trying to clarify. That's not a part of the winery. That's part of the farm where the horses are. So they're two separate things, and the special events is going to be for the farm where the horses are and that acreage, not for the winery. So the winery is basically, there's not going to be any traffic change as far as the winery goes, none.
So if we pass this, but the second part does not get passed, does it destroy what we passed tonight?
No, it doesn't,
Okay.
because the winery still is going to exist, and the farm already has been operating for 25 years, and so we still board and we train, we do all those things. So it's going to disappoint me, but it's not going to affect. I'll still be able to operate the farm the way I operate the farm. Just the larger event issue thing that we want to try to do, which would be great for Milton. There's nothing else like that out there, but that doesn't have to do with the winery. The winery is a separate section.
And as far as the state and the federal licenses as well, they issue inspections on a regular basis also? Is that annually, or what's the story on that?
Will. My understanding is that the federal does not.
Okay.
I do every year have to renew it to pay my taxes on it. But my understanding is that the federal, once you get that federal, it defers then to the state. I think, pretty sure.
Gotcha. And personally, I won't speak on behalf of everybody in the council. I like the idea as far as that goes. I just want to make sure we have our ducks in a row. It's not something like Little River Farms or the primary preserve. We've been through this before, so it's
Right.
not unusual, but just want to make sure we have our ducks in a row as we go forward.
The state asks for financial affidavits and things like that where you're swearing to and have a notarization that you have these revenue thresholds and are producing at these certain thresholds. So they will check that each year as we would with any of our affidavits. And then you'd have to produce that license each year to get ours again.
And I've had to be bonded. I have a
Yeah,
bond. They put you through a pretty good
Right.
amount. Even the federal government did. I have separate bonds. I have a federal one and a state one.
Okay, Rick?
So Bernadette, what we're really authorizing tonight would be the issuance of an alcohol license so that as she produces on the winery wine and brings in additional wine from Georgia Farms, then she can sell that and do the wine sampling. That's what this first step in issuance is for, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Laura?
And on the wine tasting, and I think it's a great idea. So are there conditions for the tasting as far as, how many people or times and things like that?
It would fall under the same, as long as it's not causing a public disturbance or nuisance, there would be no need for an additional special event permit. If it were to be a large enough event, you would have to apply for the same special use permit that anyone else would and have to have that approval first. And it would fall under a different set of rules than the farm winery's normal operations, which don't spill out into the right-of-way or the road and don't cause any kind of public nuisance or noise elevation other than what would normally be done on the property.
There are specific times. I don't mean to keep jumping in.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. until midnight. See you there at 9. Sunday, 12:30 p.m. to 12 a.m. the following day. So it's pretty wide open.
What I'm hearing is, you grow your grapes, you produce some wine. You can have an invitation-only type of wine tasting, just like anybody might invite 10 people over for a dinner party at their house. And you can do that with this permit. But if you were to have something big where 100 people were coming or whatever our thresholds are for a special event, then you have to get a special event permit through the city to do anything that's large.
Mr. Mayor, we had a discussion about this today, and so I think maybe part of the confusion is we're thinking land use as opposed to permitting. And so, this is simply a permit. Typically alcohol permits are one of those things where you have another number of boxes to check, and if they check all the boxes, they get the permit. Land use is totally different, and to the extent that this begins to take on the character of a land use the council is uncomfortable with, obviously we have all sorts of tools to begin to sort of rein that in or tweak the allowable use out there. So I just, that was the same exact discussion I had earlier today with some of your staff, is that this is a very finite box we're working in right now.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, thank you for being here. I'll open up for a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 19-108.
Okay, I have a motion for approval from Councilmember Jameson with a second from Councilmember Kuntz. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes unanimous, Sudi.
Thank you.
All right, Sudi, if you'll please sound the public hearing item.
Next item is consideration of ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Milton, Georgia, to adopt amendments to the fiscal 2019 budget for each fund of the city of Milton, Georgia, amending the amount shown in each budget as expenditures, amending the several items of revenue anticipations, prohibiting expenditures to exceed appropriations, and prohibiting expenditures to exceed actual funding available. This is agenda item number 19092. First presentation was at the April 22nd council meeting. Ms. Bernadette Harville.
Good evening again. Before you are the amendments to the fiscal year 2019 budget as requested by staff. Prior to going over the specific requests, I would like to remind everyone of some of the policies in which the city is required to adhere to. First, the city's fund balance policy, which is a city ordinance, requires that we maintain a minimum unassigned fund balance of 25% of the subsequent year's budgeted revenues in the general fund. Secondly, any excess beyond that 25% may be used for one-time expenditures that are non-recurring in nature. As we go through the presentation, you'll see each non-recurring expenditure clearly marked for ease of tracking back to that excess. Now we'll move on to the actual amendment requests. The general fund budget summary shows the current budget, the proposed amendment request by revenue source, and the expenditures by department, and the total budget of all requests were approved. You will see that if all amendment requests are approved, the ending fund balance will still leave room to account for FY19 prepaids as well as other unforeseen circumstances. After reviewing the original revenue projections, which are made with a very conservative approach and taking into account actuals received to date, there has been an overall request to increase revenues by $645,845. In the taxes category, the most significant request as far as dollar amount is a $250,000 increase to the local option sales tax line item. Consumer confidence has resulted in an upswing in lost collections over the past few years, and this increase should account for the increased anticipations for this year. From a percent increase perspective, one of the more significant requests in the category is for franchise fees related to cell, fiber, and telecommunications. This $49,800 increase is a result of annual agreement between the city and a third party for use of right-of-way. In the licenses and permits category, increases to account for updated projections related to alcohol beverage licenses and land disturbance permits are being requested. And then in the intergovernmental category is showing an overall decrease of $58, which accounts for funding received from the Bulletproof Vest Partnership Program and the decrease of $4,500 to the School Bus Stop Arm Violations Program. This program was suspended due to some changes in the law, which will impact this year's revenues. It has resumed at this point. In fiscal year 2019, the police department resumed charging for alarm registrations, and you will see a request for $2,500 in anticipated revenues from this change. Another significant request comes in the investment category. The city has taken advantage of beneficial interest rates and cash flow projections to increase investments of currently idle funds. An increase of $200,000 is being requested to account for anticipations related to investment income. Contributions and donations are not guaranteed, so the city does not set a revenue budget for these line items at the beginning of the year. The increases requested will account for those donations received to date. And in the miscellaneous revenue category, increases related to the lease agreement on Lackey Road and insurance proceeds received are being requested. Additionally, a reduction in the other miscellaneous revenue line item is being requested. The city has determined that tracking employee wellness expenses will be more transparent in a liability account, so the budget for the revenue as well as the expenditures has been removed. And lastly, in the general fund revenue request, There has been a request to reduce the transfer from the impact fees for administration of $27,000. We are proposing retaining the impact fee funding in the impact fee fund for future professional fees related to impact fee administration as opposed to transferring them to the general fund. Now on to the general fund expenditures. The general fund amendments in front of you are broken down by department. You'll see requests related to the following. There are a few employee department transfers. When Carter Lucas resigned, Sarah Leaders was named interim Public Works Director, and funding from the City Manager's Department is being transferred to the Public Works Department to account for the salary change associated with that position. With the integration of our third-party IT contract staff is requesting two things. First, to change the name of the Information Technology Department to the Information Services Department. And two, to transfer GIS from Public Works over to the newly formed Information Services Department as they fit in better there at this time. Additionally, there is a request to transfer costs associated with the arborist and stormwater plan review from Public Works to Community Development. The city's new arborist will no longer have any construction inspection responsibilities, deeming the position more fitting to community development, and moving plan review for stormwater will also house all of the plan review activities within community development. The final benefits-related request is related to workers' compensation. Recent claims have driven up the city's rates, resulting in a request to increase workers' comp line items across several departments by a total of $23,000. Additionally, in the Human Resources Department, you will see the decrease for the employee wellness that we just spoke about, and you will see an increase associated with the recruitment of a Public Works Director, including professional fees as well as a possible travel reimbursements. In the Community Outreach and Engagement Department, there has been a request to increase line items related to expenditures for the state of the city, which are covered by a corresponding increase in donations on the revenue side. There's also been a request to fund outreach programming for the Equestrian Committee of $3,000 and training through Leadership North Fulton for our Community Outreach Manager of $1,953. In both the municipal court and police departments, you will see a request to account for higher than anticipated common area expenses related to Deerfield lease. Each of them will need to be increased by $6,051. The police also have increases which are directly offset by grant donations and revenue collections for the bulletproof vests and the new portable fingerprint machine. So those are offset directly by revenues you've seen on the other side. Fire and Public Works are showing increases in their respective repair and maintenance line items for damages covered by insurance proceeds revenue. Fire's also requested $50,000 for expenses associated with septic tank repairs and replacement, as well as asbestos abatement work at Station 42. And Public Works is seeking an additional $30,000 to enhance the curb and gutter cleanup to address some of the issues throughout the city. The maintenance of the newly acquired properties through the Green Space Bond is currently housed under Parks and Recreation, and an increase of $8,800 to grounds repair and maintenance, and $16,000 to contract labor is being requested to cover the expenses associated with those properties. And Economic Development had authorized authorization in FY18 for a contract with a firm on the Deerfield market study. Contract negotiations were actually finalized in FY19, and they crossed fiscal years. So this increase is taking the money out of fund balance that wasn't spent last year and appropriating it in this year to cover those expenses. And lastly, in this category, you will see the transfers from the general fund into capital projects fund and the capital grant fund that we'll be going over a little later this evening. Now, here before you this evening, we decided to divide up for the amendment the same way we do in the original proposal for the budget is some of the initiatives. These are items that are newly requested that have not been addressed in the prior request back in September. So you'll see that the Finance Department is requesting $3,000 for the addition of a contract management module to our bid management program. This will allow for one location for all procurements, as well as the resulting contract and any change orders, as well as enhanced communications and audit trail data with vendors, and it will help staff communicate with the vendors and other staff members regarding reminders and contract renewal dates. The newly formed Information Services is requesting a software which will allow for data transformation and workflow automation for GIS in the amount of $6,300. The Police Department is requesting replacement license plate readers as the current system is outdated and can no longer be serviced, and that will cost $7,800. They would also like to reclassify the current part-time records clerk position to full-time and job share that position with the court. So instead of having two part-time positions, we'll have one full-time person that can go in between the two departments and help out when needed. This request in FY19 will be covered by salary savings, and we'll just request the increased difference between part-time and full-time going forward in the next few years. PD has also requested 2 unmanned aerial systems to enhance the search and rescue responses, which will be right under $5,000, and an upgrade to the investigative cellular analytics software for another $5,000. As technology advances, current systems become outdated, and there are new opportunities to create enhancements for those departments. Moving on to the fire department, their new records management system allows for real-time data entry on scene, so the addition of these tablets will allow for capturing signatures directly to the system, access to pre-planned data, hydrants, inspections, and reports all on the scene, and the request will cost $8,595, yielding 7 durable tablets. Fire is also requesting a part-time inspector. This position will take on the annual inspections responsibilities and bring the plan review function in-house. This will enhance coordination between plan review and the inspections process, and it will require around $34,000 to $37,000 annually over the next 4 years, which is about 25 hours of work a week. The final M&O initiative request is a transition of the current assistant fire marshal to the position of fire marshal. This will enable fire to realign duties of the fire prevention division, as well as allowing the current fire marshal to take on more emergency management responsibilities. The pay increase associated with the transition would be covered by current year salary savings due to vacancies in FY19 and would require about $13,000 to $14,000 per year over the next 4 years in salary and benefit-related expenses for that increase. I can take a break here if you'd like to discuss the general fund, and then we can move on to capital. Any questions?
Questions, Matt?
One question. You mentioned the equestrian committee and the $3,000 allocated for that, and we recently got a letter for them asking for more from a project that they want to have. I don't know if passing this right now precludes us from them delaying from an acceptance of that or not. I wasn't sure, but it was just one of those
No, it does not preclude us making other decisions. We can change that decision, and I can make a note to increase that if we'd like to. Also, this was just to start discussions on allowing them to advertise.
Sure.
There was a few, do printings and things like that to get their message out there about all the programming they have coming up.
So to add on to that, that was the $3,000 that was discussed earlier. It was before that letter was ever drafted.
Right.
The $20,000 that they're looking for additionally, if the council would like to see that as an amendment, it doesn't have to be done with this mid-year amendment. We can do amendments any time of the year. We just have historically gathered them together to do them all at once.
Okay.
But it would just have to go through the same hearing process if we did another budget amendment to make that happen.
Would you recommend that we delay, just do this one now and change it later?
I would recommend that if you are so inclined to pass this tonight so we can get moving on some of these things and then do that. If that would be all right.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Okay. So moving on to the Capital Projects Fund. In the Capital Projects Fund, you will see some of the revenue requests. We have had some donations or contributions from the local communities having traffic calming putting in their areas where they've paid for a portion, and you'll see where that increase in revenues corresponds to an increase in the expenditure side to cover those expenses. Tree recompense has also come in, and as that comes in, we increase the line item, so therefore we can increase to be able to do the tree recompense activities that are allowed under that section of the code. And then lastly, you're going to see a decrease in the landfill use fees. After talking to the current landfill that we have, they had stopped allowing so much in because they were kind of getting to their cap, and they were going through some negotiations. So we should not expect as much revenue as we originally anticipated due to their limitation. You'll also see insurance proceeds for a totaled vehicle, and that will go directly back to the department in order to replace that vehicle. And then the transfers there will correspond with also the capital initiative request we'll see later. Moving on to the expenditure requests. Information Services is looking for $25,000 to increase to account for some additional licenses that are needed that were not in the original request, as well as $39,000 for a few additional infrastructure improvements that were needed. You'll see there again where the replacement for the vehicles increased for PD, and then there's a request for the fuel management system. We currently have the fuel management system at 2 of the fire stations. This would be able to improve those current systems to allow for counting of incoming fuel as well as outgoing fuel live time, and the addition of a system at Station 42. In the pavement management section, you will see that a request has been made to address some of the issue areas that we've been hearing a lot of complaints about. So that money will go towards improving areas that are not in the current schedule as approved under the original budget. We have the infrastructure traffic calming, which we talked about, and then we have Freemanville at Providence. That is to go to increase. We had a lower than anticipated impact fee collection last year, as well as what we're expecting to see this year. So that increase is going to fund the project that we were hoping impact fees would be able to cover, that we now need city funding to cover. Crabapple at Green, you have the intersection up the way that's just being worked on right now. This is $75,000 from the capital grant fund that was not needed for one project, moving over here to be able to do some of the improvements in the way that we had anticipated seeing them here instead of the way GDOT originally had them planned. And then in Park and Trail expansion, $120,000 to increase their additional funds related to some community input meetings and different things related to the trail blueprint. Then we have the tree recompense we talked about. That line item is always increased by whatever revenue we receive. And then lastly, we have the computer software for the new community development software. It came in a little higher than we originally anticipated through all the negotiations. Moving on to the Green Space Bond Fund, you will see some increases expected in property taxes that are coming in a little higher than anticipated, and also, again, where we were able to get higher than expected returns on investments. The same exact thing with the T-SPLOST fund, that interest income is coming in higher than anticipated. In the grant fund, you will see we have some opportunities for some new grants this year, so you will see the corresponding revenues and expenditures for both the grant-related portion and the city-related portion of those projects. We have the LCI funds. There are a couple of DNR grants for the pier and the trails, and we also have a bathroom renovation grant for Providence Park, and you'll see those corresponding expenditure increase right after that. And then we have the impact fee fund. Again, we said the road impact fees were coming in a little under anticipated, so you'll see the reduction there. You'll then see the increase for the administrative fees that we talked about moving out of the general fund back into the impact fee fund. And then on the bottom with the expenditure section, you will see corresponding updates from last year's actuals. So each year when we have the final books closed, we have to then change the allocations in this fund. So lastly this evening we have the capital initiative summary. These are the initiatives that are being requested that, again, you have not heard about before. These are new initiatives outside of those that you've already approved back in September. First, we have the lightning detection system for the pool. Things pretty self-explanatory. Be able to set up a system that'll be able to detect if lightning's coming so they can close down the pool for safety reasons. We have $250,000 being requested for former Milton Country Club facility improvements. This would only be based on the results of any community input. So this is not saying what we're going to do, but just putting aside money to be able to address what the community input says we should do and what we decide to do later. The same thing for the next one, facility maintenance improvements. As we have taken on so many different parcels of land and different park projects, this is some money that we can put aside that in FY20 staff will be able to indicate what they will be utilizing it for. And then lastly, the equestrian zoning. This is the ability to do a study related to equestrian zoning overlay and large lot incentive study.
Questions on that?
Mr. Mayor, this is advertisement of the public hearing agenda, just for your consideration.
Do we have any public comment?
We do not, sir.
I can close the public hearing on that. Again, any more questions? Okay. Anything else from staff on it?
Other than I appreciate all the work. This is that sums that up in about 10 minutes. That's weeks and weeks of work. So I appreciate the way you, the manner in which you did that, and also the manner in which you just presented.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
The reason she got it in 10 minutes, she didn't take a breath. That's all. No, thank you. Okay, I'll open up for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, just a point of order. We may need to go to the next agenda item.
Right. My bad. We got to hear it twice. Okay.
Oh, you want to hear it twice? Oh, no.
Well,
I'm a rule follower.
all right, we'll move on. But before we do, just to clarify, point of order, Sudi, the last item we heard with the winery application. I want to clarify there was no public comment on that. I don't know that
There was not.
asked for public comment, but okay. All right, Sudi, if you'll please on the next item.
This item is consideration of an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Milton, Georgia, to adopt amendments to the fiscal 2019 budget for each fund of the city of Milton, Georgia, amending the amount shown in each budget as expenditures, amending several items of revenue anticipations, prohibiting expenditures to exceed appropriations, and prohibiting expenditures to exceed actual funding available. Agenda item number 19092, first presentation, was at the April 22nd City Council meeting. Public hearing we just had today, May 6th. Ms. Bernadette Harville.
Ditto.
Nope, I'll wait. I was going to make a motion.
Okay, I'll open up for motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve agenda item number 19-092.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion for approval from Councilmember Morag with a second from Councilmember Bentley, I believe. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
It's unanimous. Thank you, Bernadette. Okay, we'll move into reports and presentations. Anything the council would like to mention?
I have
Carol?
one quick comment, yes. I know that last year there was a lot of discussion about the opening of Matilda's, along with Seven Acre Farm, and the inaugural night was this past Friday night. I had the pleasure of attending. I happen to have known the Potters for 20 years, and it was just coincidental that when I got on the council that was at the very last stage of being approved. I thought it was extremely well done. I thought that the Potters were a gracious host, and they were quite concerned about the noise level, and they were working all night with their decibel readers to make sure that all was well. The parking seemed to be more than adequate. The people in attendance, it didn't seem to be, apparently we were at capacity, but there could have been room for a lot more people. It was certainly not like an overflowing situation. There was plenty of room. And I venture to say a good time was had by all. So with all the discussion and the controversy, I know that people in Milton who might be on the other side of this issue are, like us, very concerned about the future of Milton. But I think that this is maybe different and okay, and a real pleasure and a good opportunity for Milton. So I would want to voice that from what I witnessed and what I saw, I think it was just a giant net plus. So I commend you for voting for it. If I had been on the council at that time, I would have joined you. So thank you.
Good, thank you. Yeah.
Well, it's not ours anymore. The Milton Arts Council had their very first play last month, and that was a big endeavor. I know that Bill Purdy spent a lot of time on the set. If you saw the set, it was phenomenal. But that was a great example of getting a couple of our citizens together, and they grew up and went on their own and created their own 501c3, and now they're actually been introduced to William Zong, who played here tonight as well, to continue that. So I know they're working on a lot of different things, as well as the tree statue for Mark Law. That is also part of that too. They raise money there too, which many of us in this council contributed to that. So they're doing a lot of work, and just want to say thanks to them for what they've done so far. Good job.
Okay. Anybody else? Not, we'll move on to our staff. Steve, you got staff reports?
And first up is Public Works.
Okay.
Good evening. Start with a few construction updates. A couple weeks ago, we finished repaving Francis Road. Our paving program continues, and I'll highlight the next roads we're going to be focusing on. Crabapple at Green was substantially complete now. The signage went up last week, and that seems to be functioning very well as a Florida T type intersection. Freemanville at Providence is still moving along with construction anticipated to be completed this summer. And Birmingham at Batesville, that's the left turn lane on Birmingham Highway at Batesville Road. The paving was completed last week. The striping should be done this week, and hopefully that lane will get opened and we'll see some relief from the where traffic backs up into the roundabout at Birmingham Providence. Then the upcoming construction projects, we have the Birmingham Road West culvert replacement. We've got a detour plan to begin the day after school gets out on May 24th through August 1st. It's going to detour to Freemanville and Henderson The culvert's located just to the east of the Freemanville Road intersection with Birmingham Road. Then the next roads we're going to be focusing on with paving is the bigger reconstruction projects, the full depth reconstruction on New Providence from State Route 140 to the bridge, and the rest of Taylor Road. We've done portion of Taylor Road has already been reconstructed. Then the Charlotte Extension Project should begin construction hopefully at the end of this month. Then on the design side, tonight on the agenda was the Freemanville at Birmingham preliminary plan and design contract. So getting ready to kick that off. And the Hopewell corridor, those 3 intersections that are T-SPLOST funded, those are moving along. All 3 have now submitted preliminary plans, and we'll be looking to start the right-of-way phase this summer. It'll take around 9 to 12 months to get through that process, but the plans will be finalized while that the right-of-way acquisition is underway. So that's all I've got. And do you have any questions?
Any questions? Good.
Just a comment. I think people are now getting used to roundabouts. We have so many around, but it actually, I'm seeing an improved traffic flow. Even over where I live, I'm seeing the new one that went in by Strickland. People are adapting to that and knowing how to get around on Bethany Bend. So appreciate all that you guys are doing.
Thanks.
Hi, Matt.
Update on the Birmingham Crossroads, where Birmingham Highway and Birmingham Road intersect. I know GDOT was doing some things with that, and we've been back and forth in communication. Just curious.
Yes, they have a consultant on board to do that design. They went through a feasibility stage, which is like a concept stage where they run the traffic numbers and come up with a rough concept design. They've got I believe it's an 85-foot diameter mini roundabout planned for that location. So they have the consultant. They're working through that final scoping and fees with them. They are keeping me updated as they progress, but should tie in well with our Freemanville Birmingham design. We'll probably be going before them, but ours will take longer to construct. So opening should be, I would imagine, fairly close timeline between those two.
Okay.
All right. Thanks so much, Sarah.
All right.
I think, Par?
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Again, I apologize for the smoke odor. Our crews have been working at house fire since about 2:30 this afternoon, so and crews are still on scene now working. So,
Can you clarify, everybody okay?
everybody's okay. Unfortunately, the family dog there perished in the fire, but so we're working with the homeowner on that. So, again, thank you for the proclamation for MDA. The $818,000 does not include the $75,757 we've already collected this year, with one more day of collection on Friday. So, again, thank you for your support on there. I think we'll hit over the $900,000 mark here. Hydrant maintenance is going to begin probably at the end of this week. You'll see our trucks out there testing the hydrants, doing flow tests, putting down new blue markers if they're missing, and painting as needed. So we may hear some folks out there that complain about some dirty water coming through their faucets and all. So we're going to put out some social media blasts and information on that so they're aware of what to do and how to handle that. We've completed our annual physical assessments of all our firefighters. They go through the same test every year. Basically it's an entry-level firefighter exam or physical assessment that every new firefighter has to go through. We do that every year, from myself all the way down to the firefighter at the lowest level. So, and everybody passed successfully and no injuries, which is a good thing. Automatic aid with Roswell. I met with Alpharetta Dispatch this morning, and we are working on a CAD-to-CAD interface with Roswell's CAD and their dispatch center, so when any calls that come through can be transferred easily from one center to the other, and then they would send the appropriate unit. We are doing some territory alignments now to see how far into Roswell we're going to go, and then how far Roswell would come into Milton to assist us, and we assist them. And we have our contract right now with legal for review. And we're hosting the Equestrian Committee's open house at Station 43 on May 18th from 10 to 2. So you'll see some activity out there on the front lawn of Station 43 on that day. So, and that's all I have if you have any questions.
Any questions? And I'll just pass on, not only Thank you as always, but today, obviously, especially your team's out there doing what they do best, and we appreciate that.
Yep, they've done a good job, and also with the assistance of Alpharetta, so very good. Thank you.
All right, Parks and Rec.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a bunch of things to talk to you folks about. First one I'm very excited about. There's a collaborative project that the Parks and Recreation Departments of the city of Roswell, Johns Creek, Alpharetta, and Milton have been working together in addition with the YMCA. And on Saturday, July 27th, we're going to be holding a special needs expo in which we'll be inviting organizations, agencies, and any entity that is involved with service and support to families with special needs members. And this is a project we've been working on. We're very excited about it. It's going to be held at the Alpharetta Community Center. And the idea here is we're trying to pool all the resources we have and tell folks all that's out there. Because in that special needs community, there's a lot of people doing a lot of things, but we haven't seen anything that's kind of brought it and tied it together. And so we decided this is something that, we want to do. It's part of the whole message of inclusiveness and supporting the people in our community. We had another planning meeting on it today, and it's going wonderfully well. We decided that there's a nominal entry fee. A nonprofit organization is $25 to get in. A for-profit organization is $50 to get in. But then all that money is going to get pooled, and there'll be a raffle at the end that a family that attends this expo, they can win that cash to use to buy services from one of the organizations there. So it's the nominal effort is simply to get the organizations to get in and buy it and commit to it fully. So we're very excited about that. Thank you for supporting the contract for Dynamo Pool. I want to let you know that the main pool is fully resurfaced and filled up and holding water. And I was just texting the folks at Dynamo Pool, and they feel confident that they can get the walk-in pool resurfaced before Memorial Day. So we would walk in with a fresh-looking pool there. The lacrosse wall project is moving along. We've had meetings with the contractors, and we have commitments from almost all of the lacrosse entities in the area. We are still working on one last one. And talking about lacrosse, I want to let you folks know that your Parks and Rec Advisory Board is working very hard on a number of issues. One of them is an overall reassessment of how we're managing lacrosse in this city. It is somewhat evolved in a disjointed way, and we think we're at a point now we need to take a look at it and reassess and say, is there a better way we can do this? And so the Parks and Rec Board is taking this on, and they're working very hard on it. They're also taking on another project. We have a program partner we would like to work with for football. That is Alpharetta's program, North Atlanta Football League. With the current relationship with Alpharetta and the MOU and things like that, has created some challenges. But we're going to take it to the Parks and Rec Board and see if they can give us some recommendations as to what they feel we as a city potentially could support. And so I'm excited to get the help from them. You have a very active and engaged group, and I hope you're proud of them all. We did have the Golden Games 2 weeks ago, the opening. It was the 4th straight year.
Excuse me, Jim. 1 second. I was kind of hoping you wouldn't bring that up. I think I was about 4th or 5th, maybe, in the cup stacking. So.
Well, I did want to report that Mayor Lockwood did finish in the top 5.
In what?
It was called Stack Attack, in which you had a series of cups that you had to stack into specific shapes and then take them down and try more shapes and all. And I think we give him a big hand. He finished the top 5 for the mayor.
In his defense, the guy who won was practicing for weeks, so that was...
But the Golden Game, it went very well.
And that's all. Obviously, I'm kidding. It was great
I know.
turnout. Great.
I know. No, it was great.
market, so thank you guys.
Mr. Mayor, I will say this. You do genuinely bring the sense of fun of what that mayor's competition is supposed to be. All right? And that's good. That's good. Yeah, because that whole day's about fun. That whole day's about fun. And like I said, we love having it. Bell Park is a perfect place for those opening ceremonies. And, hopefully we can potentially continue to support that in the future. The young intern has been working for us this year, Ryan Flack. He's been here all since January. Thursday's his last day. He has done a very good job for us. He will be graduating with his degree from the University of Mississippi in recreation management, and we're very happy for him. Last thing I want to tell you, this is a little on the personal side, okay? Before I was hired here, I ran Bell Memorial Park and Hopewell Baseball for many years. And one of the things I was personally very proud of is back when we had those 4 fields, there was one year, 2009, where we crammed 804 kids onto those 4 fields. It wasn't the best experience, but we didn't turn a kid away. And then, as you know, when we closed down Bell Park, we were closed for a year. We lost a fall and a spring, and then we opened up again in fall of 2015, and we lost a lot of participants. Hopewell Baseball is now run by a gentleman named Juan Salas, and he is relentless in his plan and vision of growing Hopewell Baseball. And this season, he set the all-time high. They have 810 kids playing. So thank you so much for the support of the Birmingham United Methodist Church. We literally were busting at the seams. And the projection is it's just going to get bigger and bigger. We've looked at some of the impacts the MOU is going to have, and we're still projecting about another 20% growth for next spring. This coming Saturday is the last day of the spring season. It will be organized chaos. They have it set up in a structure that no team is eliminated. They have, in an 8-team league, there will be a battle between the team that's in 7th and the team in 8th, so that every kid's playing on that last day. It's a lot of fun. If you get the chance to come out, please do. And when you get the chance to see Mr. Salas, shake his hand. The man did a better job than me. Any questions?
Great job.
Thank you all for the support. Appreciate it.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss land acquisition? Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Interesting.
All in favor?
Hold on.
Did we have a first?
No.
No, got to get a spec on the air. Okay.
Okay, we're good.
All right, do I have a motion to reconvene?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion to second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Do I have a motion to
Motion
conclude the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Or to adjourn?
Second. All in
Okay, I have a
favor?
motion, second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That's unanimous.
Thank you.